So I wanted to talk to everyone today about obesity, because that's kind of why we're all here. Everybody wants to try to fight obesity in one way, shape, or form, and us in the fitness field, we like to fight obesity from an exercise perspective, or maybe a nutrition perspective, depending on your background. What I want to talk to you guys about is looking at obesity just slightly different. There are a lot of different professionals out there, whether they be nutritionists, personal trainers, physicians, physical therapists, mental health counselors, you name it. They're all trying to fight this disease, among other diseases, but they're all trying to fight this disease from different perspectives. And I just kind of wanted to give you guys a different perspective on obesity, and hopefully it'll help you in your careers, it'll help you with your clients, to get your clients to the end goal of losing weight and ultimately preventing any disease later on that may be caused by obesity. So some of our objectives for today. So what we're trying to do is I want to introduce you to different fields. Okay, so we are in the exercise science field. Okay, there's also public health field, there's the medical field. These are just some of the fields that deal with health, but these are the ones I'll stick with for the most part. I want to guys to talk about. I want to think about the causes of obesity and whether or not that they make sense. The outcomes of obesity as well, and whether that they not make sense plausibly. And hopefully we'll see if we can change your minds and change your services, change the role of the personal trainer is really the outcome of what we're trying to talk about. To make a better experience. What is the root cause of obesity? I don't think anybody can give me one universal answer, because I don't believe there is one universal answer. We all know that excess weight is because people consume more than they burn off. But why they consume more than they burn off is there can be a lot of different factors that would influence that. And every individual person should have a different cause of that obesity, whether that be occupational, if you have kids, don't have a lot of time, the genetics, something along those lines. There's a lot of different reasons why people can be obese. So let's show you visually how people can be obese. This is how we think of obesity, right? Obesity leads to disease. Okay, it can lead to all different types of diseases. But this is how we think of obesity, right? However, there's a lot of different factors that influence obesity, right? And then, so we have lack of exercise. If you tend to not be active, you are more likely to be obese, and then therefore more likely to get a disease. But if you're sedentary, you can either go through obesity, become obese, and then get disease, or if you just don't move, you can get another disease or a similar disease in the same way. Same thing with poor diet. Poor diet leads to obesity, but it also leads by itself to disease. Okay? And there's also other levels of this too. So if you have a desk job, lack of exercise, if you can't afford a gym, lack of exercise, if you fall victim to like waist trimmers and pills and exercise replacements, you're more likely to not have a lot of exercise in your day. If you tend to watch a lot of TV, and then there's all these different types of causes. Okay, and this is just a few of the ones that I can just think of off the top of my head. All these things lead to disease, right? Through each other, by themselves. They're multifactorial. Okay, so this is all true. This is true from a behavioral, from a psychological, from a social, whatever standpoint. I think everybody here could agree with this. But however, the problem with that is we think of this. We just think about this. but we don't factor in everything else, which is a problem. Because if we just think about it this way, okay, we're missing everything here. If we removed obesity, we still have all this stuff, right? We're not changing behavior, we're not changing lifestyle, and then we're all not preventing disease, which is not what we're trying to do. It's the exact opposite. We're almost providing temporary relief for somebody who thinks that this is the problem, when this plays an equally influential, or even more influential factor into this economy. Okay? Because we're not working with people at an individual level. We're working with people from like a gross population level, hence the term public health. So this is the socioeconomic model, which is just a fancy term fancy term to kind of identify all the different factors that could potentially influence somebody's health. And like we said before, things like job, race, income, education, socioeconomic status, all those things can work together in order to affect somebody's health. So this model is just a nice little quick, but actually decently detailed picture to show you that there's different ways of getting to individual lifestyle factors. Okay, so here is your work environment. On the outside we'll have general socioeconomic, cultural, and environmental conditions. That's overarching. So that's like a broad, very broad level that we're all susceptible to, that we're all obviously vulnerable to. Things like our culture, the way we look at things. And then we're getting closer and closer to individual level factors such as age, education, work environment, things like that, education. And then we get down to the social level. So this is stuff in our neighborhood, our family and friends, things, all these things, whether or not you think they have a direct impact on somebody's health, they nonetheless influence somebody's health quite greatly, actually. And then we have our individual lifestyle factors. And this is the only bubble that personal trainers work in. But there's all these different other things that need to be addressed. Okay? And then we'll talk about the role of the trainer and how we can incorporate all this stuff into our practice. Okay? So do you think, actually, go back one. So do you think all these things can influence somebody's health? So just so we're on the same page? Yeah, yeah, exactly. All these things, maybe not directly, but they still have a very potentially important influence on somebody's health. And maybe obesity status or whatnot. So we'll go to the next one. So this is a very important slide I want, or sequence I want you guys to understand. So obesity, disease, right? We talked about that. We can go to the next one. But what kind of disease? We're going to talk about all these different things. So we got obesity can lead to heart disease. True. Obesity can lead to diabetes. True. Obesity, cancer, obesity, arthritis, obesity, osteoporosis. Okay. The cancer one is a little bit of a new statement that we're trying to research, but obesity goes to all these, or leads to all of these. But is all obesity created equal? So if somebody's obese, does that mean they have an equal risk of developing each one of these things? No. Because most people, like we said before, most people die of heart disease or cancer, right? Or most people, like that affects more individuals than any other thing. So they have a higher risk of developing heart disease. So if that's true, then all obesity cannot be created equal. That's impossible. So, and we all know this as personal trainers or as fitness professionals. We all know all obese people are not created equal. And here's why. Because different things cause obesity, right? So maybe like a diet in sugar or fat, okay? Just holding excess weight, just in any form. Sedentary lifestyle or inadequate calcium would lead to osteoporosis. A diet high in trans fat or carcinogens maybe leads to cancer. And I'm not saying these are all like truth, but it would stand to reason that different ways of becoming obese will lead to their own individual disease. Okay, and it's also true that everything here you would think would lead to obesity and then lead to here, right? But it's weird to think of it this way, because if we think of it this way, we forget about all this other stuff. And we just say, all right, they need to lose weight. They need to work out more and they need to eat better. But that might not be somebody's reason for becoming obese, if that makes sense, okay? And then this could even branch out even further. I'm just talking about the individual level right now. This can branch out even further to like your work environment, your neighborhood, your family, friends influence, your cultural influences, things like that. All this can trickle down and put you in one of these categories. So if I told somebody who's sedentary, hey, let's work out. You know, we need to get you on a better workout plan. They might not be able to because of maybe they're working as I don't know, like a nurse, and they're going 24 hours on a time, and they just want to rest when they come back home, and maybe they have kids and they don't have time about any of that. Like all that, I would have to address that first before I just say like, oh, you need to work out more. It's not the issue, but specifically with this chart, if we're looking at obesity, we're missing everything here. So, okay, but that's how we get this, right? With all that stuff, we just kind of lump it together to simplify it, but we're missing a lot of different things. Okay. So this is a thing. So bailing water from a boat with holes in it is less effective than plugging the holes first. Okay. So what we're doing here, if you go back a slide, go back 2 slides. Yeah, one more. So if we're focusing on obesity first, we're trying to fix a later stage factor and not looking at the root cause. So if you're bailing water out of a boat, but there's a hole in your boat, so you would probably want to plug that first before you just start bailing water, because that would be the root cause of you sinking, right? Filling you up with water, yeah, that adds to it, but first hit the root cause and then deal with everything else. So the root cause for somebody who has a stressful job, maybe doesn't have a lot of time, maybe he has kids or whatnot, is trying to find time, working with their schedule first, working with maybe their stress level or ways to mitigate their stress at home before we start working on action that, and before we start losing. So we're based off the assumption that anybody can benefit with exercise. So to say that exercise is not always the answer is like a direct threat to our profession. All right, but I still think you can go next. I still think that trainers are important, or they're relevant. They're probably even more relevant. So here's the role. Here's the current role of personal trainer. So if you go back one more slide. To help clients reach their health and fitness goals through exercise, right? And this is based on the assumption that everybody can benefit from exercise, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay. In the pharmaceutical field, their assumption is that most people can be affected with drugs, or both drugs can affect most people, which they can, but be benefited ideally from drugs. In the medical field, modern medicine, their tools are medicine, which maybe is still drugs, but maybe surgery, X-rays, CAT scans, things like that. those are all tools at their disposal that they can use to help people. Okay? In the chiropractic field, they have modalities and alignment tools they can use. Physical therapy has mobilization, rehab, things like that. In the fitness field, we have exercise, right? So, the next one. So, our primary role is to identify behavioral and root cause of status and motivation. Okay, so we're trying to attack the root cause. Our secondary is to help clients reach their health fitness goals through exercise. This is what I see as the future for personal trainers. Okay, because if you go back one, and again, this is everybody. This is in all fields in health, but none of these help to identify the root cause. They're all assuming that their tools are going to work, and if they're a knowledgeable professional, if somebody comes up to them and says, "Hey, I got an infection," if somebody comes up to a chiropractor and says, "Hey, I got an infection, chiropractor, can you help me?" They're probably going to say, "All right, well, let's get you to a doctor, to give you some antibiotics or something." They're not going to realign their spine. That's not going to help them. That's not attacking the root cause. So if they're knowledgeable, if they're well suited for their profession, they're going to refer to other people. But none of these help to find the root cause. If you don't know what your root cause is of becoming obese, you can't attack it. It doesn't work that way. Like, you have to know it first. You have to identify it, and then you have to change it, or you have to implement measures to change it. So you go back to the exercise is still pretty decently important, but lifestyle changes are more effective. So we can do both. We can both help people identify their root cause, and we can change it through lifestyle intervention. Now, obviously, we just work in a gym, or some sort of fitness center, or on your own somewhere, or at home, whatever have you. Well, we can still elicit lifestyle changes through our interactions. Now, when they came in, just made a positive experience from a negatively associated task. That's a loaded sentence, but it's the one thing I want you guys to leave here with, and what you keep in mind. Now, using some of the principles that we learned today, this isn't going to directly affect their health. Like, so maybe, working out, burning calories, that's probably going to directly affect their health by hitting on individual level causes for obesity. However, this could be potentially more powerful. It's an indirect lifestyle intervention. And I don't want to downplay the importance of it. So let's say one of your clients comes in and they're not feeling so great, they didn't eat well the night before, maybe they're dehydrated, maybe they didn't have their coffee yet in the morning and they're just sluggish, maybe you're not feeling it either, maybe you don't give them the best workout they've ever done, maybe they didn't PR by any means today, but they still made it to the gym, and they left with getting their workout in. Okay? Maybe you as a personal trainer can also implement some of the things you learned today, maybe some of the other things you learned from other classes, about how to talk with them about their lifestyle, and how to identify the most important aspects of their lifestyle that causes them to not be where they're at, fitness-wise, health-wise, whatever. Okay. Maybe they're being told by their friends or their coworkers that they eat too much sugar. Okay. Well, is eating too much sugar really the culprit? Sugar, I think we all agree, is not the best thing for you, but then again, it's not detrimental. If you have 30 grams of sugar in a day, just pure sugar, just sugar packets, it's not going to make you just balloon up. It's not going to kill you. There's other things to take in mind here. Remember that from the socioeconomic model. So if you have them leave with a positive experience, they're going to be feeling better. They're going to leave, and they're going to make better choices. They're going to make better behavioral lifestyle choices that would be more powerful and influence their health a lot more than if you made them squeeze out a few extra reps, or you added 10 more pounds, or this, that, and the other thing, or you went for a little bit longer. It's a lot more powerful than we would think. And we, in the fitness field, have a relationship with our clients that is intimate enough, that is as casual enough, and we have the personalities and the knowledge to use and to affect them this way. No other. I mean, physicians only spend 5 minutes with their clients, if that. We spend an hour, and then with them individually, and maybe an hour or two more every week, just writing their workouts and thinking about stuff. So this is very important. This is specific to personal trainers, and this is where I see the role of the personal trainer going.